Hello my loves, welcome back. So today we are going to talk about Chiron in composite charts. And you can use this declination also for Davidson chart. Before we get into each house, let's talk about what Chiron is, what the energy of Chiron represents. Chiron in mythology is the wounded healer, the one that was able to help everyone but himself, right? Like he was the healer that couldn't heal his own wound. Now, when we look at this from the understanding of the birth chart and our life, Chiron in our birth chart tells us where we might have to look a little deeper and might have to overcome unconscious challenges that we've been dealing with since childhood, because Chiron, the Chiron energy, also tells us about the first wound, the psychological wound that we may have received through our upbringing, the mother wound. Chiron in mythology was rejected by both of his parents, his mother and his father. So that is the first wound that Chiron has to deal with. And then the second wound that most people identify Chiron with is the physical wound. But we need to understand that energetically, these two go together, right? If we don't heal the psychological wound, this wound is going to turn physical into physical ailments. So the idea here is healing the psyche so we can then also heal the body. And now how can we take this and apply it in relationships? Now, when we look at the composite chart, we look at the chart of the relationship, right? We have these two people, we have their charts, we have the midpoints of each of their planets, and that midpoint then tells us about the house situation, right? Where this planet falls, which house this planet falls in. It tells us about the energetic makeup of the relationship. And I want you to understand, remember, this is not you and this is not your partner. This is your relationship together, the energy that you create together and that you can then learn to master together. Now, when we look at Chiron in a relationship chart tells us where we master, quote unquote, the healing, right? The healing through the relationship. We both can have a huge opportunity to heal parts of ourselves within that relationship. Now let's see what is possible when we look at this from the house perspective. So Chiron in the first house, what are we looking at here? What's the wound that we are dealing with? Well, this is a very obvious, quote unquote, obvious wound. Because we are dealing with the first house, we are dealing with what is seen on the surface. So possibly the wound that both of these people that come together in this relationship are having the opportunity to heal is an appearance wound. That could be one layer, right? The way you look, I'm not looking good enough. Am I looking good enough? Is this good enough? Is that good enough? Like the outer layers. First house talks about the physicality, right? Us coming into physical form. So yes, the first layer of this would be, looks. But of course, this is not just looks. We are also talking about identity. How do I see myself in this world? Who am I? Right? Where do I belong to? The first house is a big one. So every planet, every asteroid, every point that we have here is having a lot of weight. So both people will be working on their identity in this relationship and their identity wound. Maybe they are not feeling good enough to be who they want to be. And this may come up within the relationship, and we will both partners will project this onto the other. But the lesson here is for both people. Also direction, right? The first house is telling us about our direction in life. And, maybe one person is aware of where they want to go, meaning maybe they want to go really far, right? They want to reach high goals. And the other person kind of tries to play small because they were taught to be that way, but secretly they also want to achieve big things. And this is going to be a wound that can be healed in this relationship, and it will probably not be healed in a very gentle way, because there's going to be a lot of triggering each other when it comes to what direction we are actually going to go together. Because in the relationship, you got to have the same direction. You can't go into different directions, because then you'll walk out of the relationship. So there is a bonding in having a common goal, a common understanding of where we are going to. And with Chiron here, that can be a bit of a triggering subject that may come up ongoing until it is resolved within either both people or the person that needed to resolve it for herself. But again, if one person is very clear about where they want to go, the other person is kind of like, well, yeah, maybe we should play small. There's still a lesson for the other person in this as well, right? So it's not an easy Chiron to have. And this is also a Chiron that is easily seen by the outside world, right? That this is not a Chiron wound that is hidden. This is one that is seen, and possibly both people will also talk about this, right? Openly with others. Now, Chiron in the second house, worth and value, right? What's my worth? What are my values? What am I allowing myself to have? Am I allowing my desires to manifest, or am I holding myself back in this area? Also finances is going to be a big one for these two, the issues. And I know this is generally a big topic for people in relationships, finances, money, of course, but particularly in this relationship, we are looking at it from the perspective of like a very deep-seated wound, possibly, from that we might have even brought it with us, from generations. Like maybe this is a generational conflict that you now have the chance to finally really work on within this relationship. Again, both people will have that opportunity in their own way. This is also something that tends to be obvious for both people, but also the outer world. This is not necessarily something hidden. This might also relate to work in one way or the other, what we do for work, how we make our money. Are we playing small? Most likely we do with this combination, and we might trigger each other, right? We might say, well, why are you not doing a better job so we have more money? And it's going to be a big deal. But again, what is the lesson here? Where are you not allowing yourself to show up in the way you want to show up, and in your worth, right? Like really trusting that you came to this planet to live fully, not to live 50% or 60%. You came here to show up fully. So why are you not showing up fully? Now, Chiron in the third house, this could be a wound related to communication. So this could come up in this relationship where we are not speaking up, where we think we don't know enough, we are not intelligent enough, where we are literally worried. Like it might again be felt more for one person than the other, but there is the lesson here for both people. And this might be a very basic level of intelligence, and I mean that in the best way possible, right? We might talk about something we learn really early in life, in primary school, and maybe we haven't learned it. Maybe there is a speech issue, that one or the other has, right? Where they're not able to speak properly, or maybe there's dyslexia, and in this relationship, this will show up, and it will make us really, really self-conscious with each other. Chiron in the fourth. This can be a deep-seated family wound, like could literally relate to the mother here. Depending also what other planets are there, and you know what other planets Chiron connects to in terms of aspects. This could also be a manifestation where we come from a very broken home, and now we don't know how to not create another broken home, right? Because we don't have the understanding of how to create a healthy home. We have to learn this with each other, to feel safe with each other, to feel at home with each other. There could be really big triggers here when it comes to that. And again, this is one of the harder ones to deal with in the relationship, because the fourth house is literally the home for both of us, and we want to both feel at home within the relationship. And there might always be this feeling for one or the other or both that I'm not really feeling at home here. What something is missing. But again, you've got to look inside. What is it that you bring in that is not allowing you to really feel at home? And again, I think this is going deeper, right? This is going back to how was I raised? What was my relationship? What was the relationship of my parents? What did I see? What did I observe here? And how did I take that? How did I then take that on? Chiron in the fifth in composite or Davidson charts is a Chiron that might relate to our creative self-expression, but also children. So this could relate to not being able to have children. We have this, or it might be harder to create children, to make children. This could also be like literally create. This could also relate to us not being able to truly have fun with each other, to have a good time. There's always this this feeling of this isn't good enough, this isn't enough, this, you know, I can't do this. This might be too much fun, you know. This is not, it's not right. It just never really feels right. Also the lightness might be missing a little bit, where we feel we can't really be light with each other. It has to be strict. There could also be issues with gambling here in the relationship. Generally, issues with addiction could come in here. This can also happen in obviously other areas, especially the sixth house. We're going to talk about this in a minute. But yeah, children might be a source of pain in one way or the other. Again, this is for you two to work through, right? And to come to an understanding how to heal this for both of you in this life, within the relationship. Now, Chiron in the sixth house generally is not the lightest of areas. This is the day-to-day, the mundane life, the routines, but also health. Now, Chiron here can point to health issues. Yes, of course, it can. Usually psychological, that then also can turn into physical. As we know, that's the Chiron journey, right? But again, there is always a lesson in here, right? This is not you're doomed or the relationship is doomed. There is a lesson. You got to just find the lesson for you in this. What are you supposed to learn through this relationship, right? The house of service. Also, the sixth house is also the house of service. So where can that help us, right? Being of service, how can that help us in our own healing? Or maybe not being of service, but also allowing others to be of service to us. Maybe we didn't receive that early in life, and now we allow our partner to take care of us. This can also be a manifestation of it, and this might be difficult for both people to accept and to work through. Now, Chiron in the seventh house, the wound here could generally be the relationship, where we might not feel worthy of being in the relationship. We wonder, oh, is this the right relationship? Am I good enough for this? How does this relationship look on the outside? What do other people think, right? This This is another one where we really might be insecure about what others think of my partner or me being in this relationship with this partner. This can also bring in a third party that then is feeding the wound. But again, we gotta look at what is the lesson in this, right? Why am I allowing this in my life? This is again another one that is tricky. They're all tricky, but because this is one on the main axis, right? First house, fourth house, seventh house, 10th house, the main axis. This is a tricky one. This may affect us when it comes to our direction in life as well. Generally, Chiron stuff is not easy to work through, but on the axis, because we are dealing with basic foundational things, it can be a little harder. Now, having said that, we are getting to the 8th house, and I just said the 7th house is a little harder. The 8th house, that's where we go really deep, right? That's where we get out the big guns, quite literally. That's where we work on things that we might never fully understand. And you may think, well, how am I going to work on it then? How do I even know what I'm working on? Well, first of all, you're probably going to work on things that have to do with your shadow self. And we often, in relationships, see our shadow self in the other. And then from there, we have to peel back the layers and see what am I actually seeing? What is actually triggering me? What is actually annoying me? Where is this actually going? And usually it goes really, 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 really far back to a time where you might have not been as conscious, right? Maybe you picked up a lot of stuff in your early childhood that is ingrained in you and that you then live out in this world, but you're not even conscious about it, and you see it in your partner and it annoys you in your partner, and you're like, what is this? What is wrong with that person? Well, the mirror effect, right? Looking in the mirror and allowing yourself to go down the rabbit hole. And that rabbit hole might be dark. The further you get down, the less you might see. But maybe it is not about seeing so much, but sensing, right? Like really working with your senses here. Like understanding where you feel it in your body work, like body work with each other could be a beautiful healing process. Also, you know, the sexuality between both people might help us heal. But again, we got to be really careful here, because this is the 8th house, you know, the home of Pluto, the home of Mars. We gotta enter into this with as much as awareness as we can, especially if we utilize sexual energy here to heal each other. There might also be a sexual wound here, right? That we uncover and come to terms with and understand within us and heal within us. Again, for both people. Chiron in the 9th, this is a Chiron that for one or both people might relate to exploring the world, exploring new horizons, going out there. Maybe one partner is not on board because one partner is scared. One partner just wants to be in one place, wants to just be in his or her little world, not explore because, ooh, what could we discover, you know? That might be a trigger between the two, where one partner wants to go all out there, the other partner doesn't want to live a bigger life. You know, again, we have a similar quote-unquote issue here as we do in the 3rd house, where maybe we want to play smaller. Maybe we also are very self-conscious when it comes to our knowledge, right? Like knowledge, intelligence. And we don't want to go out there, and we don't want to, converse with other people, new people. Maybe the issue is not so much we don't want it, but we are not allowing ourselves because we're not confident that we are good at it or we can do it. Also, maybe one or the other is not university educated, and maybe that is kind of like a hindrance between these two, where one person doesn't feel intelligent enough, not good enough, I don't know enough. Another thing that could come in here is religion, right? An issue with religion where maybe we have two different religions, or we have one religion and one person that isn't religious, and we are working through the deeper layers of this and what this means for our relationship. How do we raise our children? How do we want to live in this way? So there can be triggers coming up in that area. This is generally, I shouldn't say that with Chiron, but generally this is not as difficult as it may be in the 4th house or the 7th house or even the 8th house. Still, this is a trigger for the two that they will have to work on. Chiron in the 10th, this could be an issue when it comes to the work I do, right? Or the work that these two partners do, the work that they actually want to do and the work that they do. Is that congruent, right? Maybe we have an ambition issue. Maybe the partner is quote unquote too ambitious or not ambitious enough, and that's where the triggering comes in. Maybe we're also not feeling up to the task, either partner. So our aspirations are in question, and this can also again be a deeper one, because we're dealing with the main axis, right? Like 1st, 7th, 4th, 10th house axis. This can then also fall back to into family issues, that not being able to provide for the family, and that is a big trigger. So why is that? Why is one partner not able to provide for the family? Where's the partner saying, no, you now have to pick up the slack, and you're like, no, I don't want to pick up the slack. Well, there could be an issue also with one person wanting a traditional relationship, the other one wants a 50-50 relationship, right? Then the question is like, what's actually going on? What are we actually healing here? Then Chiron in the 11th, Davidson and Composite. This is related to friendships, also legacy, the legacy we leave behind. Do we want to look at it? Why don't we want to look at it? Children, do we want children? Do we not want children? What does it mean in the long run for us? Also, is there another way that I can build my legacy? This could relate to not being on board with the friends one partner has. This could relate to not being on board with the community that one of the partners is in, triggering in that area. Generally not the worst, not the most difficult, I should say, but still there can be triggers, like I said, also when it comes to children. Maybe one partner brings children into the relationship, and that's where the other partner has to learn something, or both partners have to learn how to deal with this, right? The patchwork family, and then dealing with the other parent of that child. Then last but not least, Chiron in the 12th. Again, like with every 12th house placement, this can relate to anything that is not the norm in society. So this can relate to hospitals, prisons, but this can also relate to the spirituality of both partners, and where we are not seeing eye to eye here, where we are not having the same spiritual understanding, and that then triggering us. So it doesn't always have to be the worst scenario, right? It doesn't mean that one partner is going to be in prison or something like that. It doesn't always have to end in the worst manifestation there is. Like I said, it can just be, we are spiritually not aligned. What can we do? What can we learn? Again, what is the lesson here? So if you have any questions about any of these placements in Davidson composite charts, leave me a comment in the comment section. If you want a personal reading, birth chart reading, solar return, but also synastry reading or composite reading. Generally what I do with relationships is I combine them. I combine the synastry with the composite and the Davidson. I look at all three charts, or four charts really, and then I give you the reading from that perspective. After I've looked at all charts. So if you have any other questions, feel free to ask, and I will see you next week.